The theory of evolution is a half-truth. By that I mean, of course, different organisms kind of mutate and change their features and stuff like that and become a little bit different from their ancestors, which is kind of obviously observable in our world. Right? You have like dogs, modern, like domesticated dogs, they didn't look like their more wolf-like ancestors, right? They don't look like their wolf-like ancestors and stuff like that. And this is kind of like a clear, this kind of shows some like physical proof of evolution. But you know, the type of Darwinian evolution, right? The type of evolution that's kind of used to suggest our humans and are linked to the other apes, so to speak, you know, the great apes, chimps, gorillas, bonobos, a couple other apes. And now we're just kind of randomly separating away from these other apes, and we became our own type of species, and we became more sophisticated. And that's all there is to us. We were just another type of ape that just kind of, for some reason, developed some complex language skills and stuff, that learned how to walk upright on its own. That had a lot of its biological features modified for different reasons that our other, you know, like chimps and our other primate cousins, they never experienced this type of dramatic change and shift in like a lot of different aspects to us. Right? It's kind of bizarre, right? That we kind of developed in this very, 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 very unique way, right? You know, the other primates, they kind of just stayed as they are. It's kind of very bizarre. Of course, some evolutionary biologists would say, well, those other primates, they did experience genetic changes. They're not exactly like some of us, like their ancestors, or like some of the common ancestors we share with them and stuff like that. They also evolved just in a different direction and stuff. But the point here is, like, you know, like chimps compared to us, like there's clear distinctions, right? We can kind of formulate complex languages and stuff like that, right? We can kind of think on a higher level and stuff. A lot of our physical features are different, and you can kind of theorize, well, it's just because of environmental adaptation. Our ancestors were separating in different and getting exposed to different climates and environments, and so we just changed to adjust to these environments, and that kind of led to us becoming physically different. And then these physical differences kept growing larger and larger after other different selection pressures kept coming on top of us and changing our physical forms and stuff. And that's why we're different and whatever, you know. But there's a key difference that you should kind of focus in on, right? That most placental mammals, right, including chimps, modern chimps, right, bonobos, gorillas, any type of other placental mammal, they have like something called a baculum, a penis bone, and Homo sapiens are kind of the exception. We don't have any type of penis bone, and for evolutionary biologists, they could easily theorize, well, it's because it hindered reproduction, so it just kind of was selected out, since it was easier just to have, you know, intercourse without some type of bone lodged inside of our you know, our private parts or whatever. Okay, but why do chimps still have their penis bone? If it was such a hindrance for reproduction, chimps, gorillas, other placental mammals would have also lost their penis bones and stuff. And you can keep theorizing and stuff, saying, well, you know, we humans, we kind of were sexually selecting for desirable features, and the penis bone features kind of got thrown out. It was just purely selection. We weren't like kind of designed in specific ways by some other entity. We were just kind of shifting away from apes and just kept evolving in our own unique way and stuff. And of course, a lot of this is kind of hard to substantiate. You know, Darwinian evolution, right? Because there's Darwinian evolution, right? The idea that our ancestors are linked to apes and we kind of just split from them and became what we are now. And there's the term evolution, the regular theory of evolution, right? Which just posits that organisms mutate and change over time and become different in a lot of ways. And that, you know, that's a distinction that you have to kind of make, because evolution on its own is perfectly reasonable, right? It's just when you bring in Darwinian evolution, that's when things start to get a little bit more tricky and hard to substantiate, because, you know, it's probably like, of course, I'm not making any arguments that, like, you know, Darwinian evolution is false, that we didn't originate from other apes and stuff and become all different in our own way and whatever. it could be possible, but it's kind of hard to substantiate and prove with actual full historical evidence and stuff. You can say, well, we have missing links, Lucy and stuff. We have this like nearly human skeleton that has an archaic primate skull and stuff. So this is like proof that we came from monkeys. But like a lot of these, like a lot of African people in Africa, they have like similar, a lot of them have like protruding jaws and like sunken in skulls and stuff like that. And, well, not to sound in like in a derogatory sense, but even in Southeast Asia, a lot of Southeast Asians have these physical morphological features, right? More prognate skulls, more larger lips and stuff. It's shorter skull frames and skulls and skeletons and stuff like that. I'm not making any kind of derogatory remarks, but Lucy, just because it has more like kind of odd facial features, like more like not typical Caucasian skull features, and like the build and the skull and the skeleton and the height, right? Because a lot of Africans and East Asians and regular Southeast Asians, they also have these physical features that a lot of these hominids that they kind of dig up. They said, oh, this is a completely different species. It's not human. It's another type of hominid. But Southeast Asians, Africans, they have a lot of these features of these hominids that keep getting dug up. So, are Africans and East Asians and South Asians, are they and Southeast Asians, are they completely different species to like Caucasians, Europeans, and other types of people like that? Because it's kind of like, but anyway, it's kind of because it's kind of weird, right? A lot of people don't think about that because these hominid species that get dug up. You have to understand that a lot of humans, actually, even a lot of Europeans, because I don't want to just kind of create this massive distinction, right, between the human races, right? A lot of Europeans have these features, right, these archaic features, more like their skulls, like a lot of, like regardless of race, like some you can find people that look like have like very archaic features, right, like large protruding jaws, thicker noses, thicker brow ridges, and eyes that stick out and stuff like that. Are they another? A lot of like a lot of human diversity is kind of immense, right? Not just between races, but even in between races, right? Some people have like larger faces. Some people are shorter. Are these different species? Right? That's kind of like a lot of like missing link Lucy. That could have just been a person that's smaller with a shorter skeleton. That was just shorter, But then you can make the argument, well, what about his facial features and structure and stuff? Again, a lot of people near a lot of equatorial people that have evolved that stay near the equator, they have those facial features as well and stuff. Thicker nose, larger jaw and stuff. All of this is kind of to help them survive in that hot climate. How they it's kind of stupid. It doesn't prove anything really, right? But to kind of bring it back, evolution, there's the theory of evolution that organisms mutate and change and become different in their own way, and then Darwinian evolution, which claims that we originate from apes, and not only do we originate from apes, but there is no divine inspiration in our history. We were just randomly separating from apes. That is kind of harder to substantiate, right? Because I believe in evolution, right? The theory of evolution, not Darwinian evolution, right? That we just randomly were evolving away from apes and we became what we are now without any type of like divine inspiration. I don't believe in that, right? And you can say, well, why not? It's because the human animal is too unique for something like that. We have like a lot of atypical features that aren't found in any other type of creature on this planet, right? The ability to kind of form complex languages, that's a feature that's not found in any other animal, especially to like our level, right? And also the fact that Homo sapiens don't have like a baculum, a penis bone, unlike chimps and gorillas and other placental mammals. This should really make you start to wonder why that is. Like, why do we have all of these atypical features if we were just like kind of drifting away in evolution, right? In a type of evolutionary process that was not really inspired at all by anything, right? Why are we so atypical, right? Other animals don't build shelters and have complex languages and use like their brains to form and build technology and all this other stuff. No other animal does that. We're so atypical, and that's kind of like It's hard to kind of account for this in like, in just in like the Darwinian theory of evolution, which just suggests that we were just kind of splitting from apes randomly and there was no divine inspiration. Because again, that distinction has to be made, right? There's the theory of evolution, which is perfectly reasonable, then Darwinian evolution, which is harder to kind of like substantiate and get your head around, right? But why are humans so atypical, right? Again, like most placental mammals have a baculum, a penis bone. We don't have that biological feature. Right? Most other creatures on this planet aren't particularly sophisticated. They're not bright. They don't build shelter. Right? They don't form languages, complex languages. They don't write down literature and stuff like that. But we do, and that's kind of bizarre. We're atypical in so many different ways. It should kind of make you wonder, like if there there probably was some type of divine inspiration, right? Something that kind of gave us this kind of spark, kind of put us on like a more, like on a higher path of development and whatever. And it shows in our genetics. Like a lot of people are kind of coming out and saying that the human being has been kind of tampered with. Right? There was some type of extraterrestrial race that some people kind of hypothesize this, right? Or there is no gospel. All extraterrestrials came to Earth and tampered with our genetics. This could be also possible and plausible, right? And it shows, because that could explain why we're so atypical, right? We're too atypical. It's kind of bizarre, right? Because there is no other, even chimps, right? They can, like you can say, well, they're like more primitive, but yeah, but they still don't have a lot of, they don't like resemble us perfectly, right? There's still a clear distinction between us and chimps. Even though, although it could, it's possible that we're primates that are just kind of deluded and we think we're special. That's also possible. Darwinian evolution might also be true. I'm not making any arguments against it. It's just kind of trying to help you like kind of think about like, why are we so atypical, right? Did we just kind of drift away from other primates, or was there some divine inspiration that set us on a higher path? And you have to kind of wonder about this yourself, I guess.